Hi everybody. Okay, so we're having an issue tonight. My personal Facebook page got hacked into, and apparently it's taken away my ability to do live videos. So I'm going to record this. It's a little bit before 8 and post it, so hopefully you'll be able to see it by 8 o'clock, where I'll answer the questions that came in this week. Okay, so welcome everybody. Glad you could tune in. So this week's questions, it's actually a question that was posted on my last week's live, was from Susan in Phoenixville, and she asked about her new rescue dog who she can't get in a crate. She is breaking out of the crate when she puts her in, and then when she does get her in there, she's peeing in it even though she just went outside and went potty. So thanks for the question, Susan. So I'm going to answer this. I'm going to do a two-part answer to this question. So the first, let's talk about just crate training in general. So if you have a new puppy and you want to crate train them. So let's go through some of those basics first. So the idea behind a crate is not that it's a cage that you lock your dog up in. It's not designed to be mean or cruel. The reality is, if we weren't around and dogs were loose out in the wild, they would find a place to sleep, which is usually a den. And the I guess parameters for the den is that it be covered on the top and usually on 3 sides, so that there's only one entrance and exit, and the dogs, when they're inside the den, usually sleep facing the exit to protect it, so that if any predator or anything tries to get in, they can protect it. So that's what they would do if they were in the wild. So the crate tries to emulate a den type environment. But if your dog wasn't raised in a crate, like they would have been raised in a den, then they might be a little bit unsure of it or wary. So when you have a new puppy, what you want to do is start putting them in the crate for short periods of time, 5 or 10 minutes at a time. Put them in the crate, give them some treats while they're in the crate, give them a favorite toy while they're in the crate. Any of those things work to get them in the crate, shut the door, then open the door and let them back out. If you're going to have your dog sleep in a crate overnight, that's fine. It's totally personal choice. Okay, my dogs all sleep in bed with me, which it gets a little, my husband and I are a little crammed. We have a king size bed. We joke we had a queen, we got a king so that we'd have more room, but really just the dogs have more room. So it's, the Mastiffs, the Frenchie, and us in the bed. But that's my choice. I prefer to have the dogs sleep with me. That's actually where the term dog pile comes from, because they will sleep in a group or touching in proximity to each other. So that's how I choose to do it, but you don't have to do it that way. It's whatever you decide you want to do. So if you want your dog to sleep in a crate, then that's fine. But be aware that as a new puppy, they're probably just coming from an environment where they were able to sleep with their litter mates or other dogs before you got them. So they're going to go from having the warmth and heartbeat of other animals around them to being by themselves, which is kind of lonely and scary, which is why puppies usually cry when you put them in the crate because they're lonely. So what I always recommend to my clients is, for nighttime, go to the store and buy one of those extra soft baby stuffed toys. So they're usually like Yo Big, not a tiny one, a bigger one, and they're super soft. They don't have a lot of stuffing in them, so they're kind of floppy. And it's usually in the baby section, like if you go to Target, or Hallmark sometimes has them too. So check that out. But if you use that and put that in there with them, it emulates kind of like them snuggling up with one of their litter mates, and it usually helps for babies, for puppies, to give them something to snuggle with at night, to make them feel a little more secure. Now, when your dog is a puppy, you want to make sure that they don't have a ton of extra room in the crate. So the size of the crate should grow with the puppy. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to go and, if you have a Great Dane puppy, doesn't mean you're going to buy a new crate every 3 months. You can get the right size crate for your dog as an adult, and then get a divider. Some of them come with dividers. Sometimes you buy them separately. But a divider will help you shrink the size of the crate to adapt for your puppy. And you want to make sure that they have enough room to stand up so that their head isn't touching the top. Excuse me. Lay down comfortably. They don't have to be, you know, like stretched out from one, you know, with their legs all the way, just as long as they can lay down comfortably. And then be able to turn around in it. So that's the guideline for it. So, and if you're not sure how big your dog's going to get, then, you know, I would guesstimate by whatever they tell you. If it's a lab mix, then figure the size of a lab, that kind of thing, or shepherd mix, figure the size of, you know, a shepherd or smaller, a little bit smaller. And use the divider so that the space can grow with them. Now, the other common question is, if they cry in the middle of the night, how do you know if they're just lonely or they have to go potty? Okay, so you don't. But if you follow some of my housebreaking tips and keep a potty log, you'll get an idea of what times your dog has to go to the bathroom. A lot of times when they're brand new puppies, they do have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So you could, if they cry, you could get up and take them outside, and whether or not they go to the bathroom, put them back in the crate and go back to sleep. Now your puppy's probably going to cry when you put them back in the crate. Now, my opinion is that you should let them cry for a little bit, and they usually end up crying themselves to sleep. You can also put the crate near your bed if you want, and then hang your head or hang your hand over the edge of the bed and put it in the crate so that your dog can, you know, be next to your hand. Sometimes that helps too. So you just got to get through that little crying phase. So that's how you that's how you use a crate for a new puppy. The other thing with the crate is the crate by itself isn't bad, but if you leave your dog in the crate for too long, then they have a negative association with it. So if you go to work all day and your puppy's in the crate all day, maybe you have a pet sitter, or you come home at lunch and let them out and go potty, and then they go back in the crate, and then you come home from work and you let the dog out. Now your dog is crazy because they've been in the crate all day, and you're tired and, you know, exhausted from work, and your dog's a maniac running around the house, and you just want 5 minutes apiece, so you put him back in the crate for a little bit, and then you know, take him outside to go potty, and then it's bedtime and you put him back in the crate at night. That's when a dog hates their crate, because they're spending the majority of their time in it. So you want to be conscious of that they're not spending too much time in the crate. But it is a great way to keep your dog safe when you can't be with them or you're not home. So hopefully that helps a little bit as far as crate training. So let's now talk about if you have an older dog who you just rescued or just comes into your house and you need to try and crate train them. Sorry, I don't know. I have little froggies in my throat tonight. So if you have a rescue dog, then what you want to do is set the crate up and leave the door open. You can use like a bungee cord or a carabiner clip to keep the door open, and make it nice. So put a crate pad or something soft in there, a blanket, a towel, something like that, and just leave it open for them. Now what you want to do is, if your dog is afraid of the crate or doesn't like the crate, what you can start to do is feed them in the crate. So if your dog really likes their mealtime, just put the bowl in the crate. You don't shut the door or anything. You don't need to have the dog all the way in the crate. Just feed them in the crate. If your dog won't even step near the crate, then what you can do is put the bowl next to the crate so that they're near the crate, and then slowly move it into the crate itself. So that helps to build a positive association with the crate. You can also give them special chew toys, like if you do a Kong toy with peanut butter in it, or cream cheese or spray cheese or something like that. You could give them that in the crate. Again, leave the door open for now. Just put it in the back of the crate so they have to go in and get it. If you're playing with them with a favorite toy, if you're playing, you know, tossing the toy, you could always toss the toy in the crate, so they have to go in the crate to get it to come back out to play. These are all ways that you can start to get them to just interact with the crate itself and get in and out. once they get comfortable with that, a lot of times what will happen is you'll be home and your dog will lay down in the crate on the bed with the door open, because it's comfortable for them. It's usually the you're leaving associated with locking the door that kind of freaks them out when you try and lock them in the crate. So try that when you're home, and then now obviously when you have a dog, you have to go to work anyway. So the idea is, how do you keep your dog safe when you can't put them in the crate immediately? What you can try is to use either like a powder room or a spare bedroom, a mud room, something like that, some extra room in the house that you can puppy proof, so that there's not too much that they can get into, and leave them there while you're gone in the beginning until you get them comfortable with the crate, and try that. But a younger dog, and by younger I mean a dog under the age of 2 really, left loose in the house to their own devices, is probably going to get into trouble. Even if they don't in the beginning, you're eventually going to come home to something ripped up or chewed on or destroyed. So it's safer for them if they are confined into a puppy-proof area. So try that while you're getting them used to the crate. So that's another way you can do it. Now, once you get them comfortably going in and out of the crate to do things like they'll eat their food in there, all of that, that's when you can start closing the door. So you put their food all the way in the back, let them go in, close the door, you stand there, let them eat, and as soon as they're done eating, you unlock the door and let them out. So now you're getting them used to them being near the crate and the door shutting. Okay, throw their favorite toy in the crate, they run in to get it, you shut the door, open the door right away, let them come out, grab the toy, throw it again, so that you're teaching them that part of the game can also be the door closing. So that just helps them to feel more comfortable there. I also recommend anytime you leave the house to leave some music on in the background. I don't like the TV because commercials can be very loud, and we talked about this when we talked about music last week with the fireworks, but it can be active listening versus passive listening. So you want to make sure that it's calming music. Dogs prefer classical, if you're interested to know that, according to the experts. So put it on in the background so that it gives them something to listen to other than the neighbors or the construction down the street or the traffic, all of the things that they can hear. Even when, even though they're inside the house, they have really good hearing and they can hear for quite a distance. So you want to make sure that you're giving them something pleasant in the background that's more passive listening for them to deal with. So classical music is usually a good choice. Leave it on as background noise so that it helps to drown out some of the outside noises. And then, of course, if your dog is now this is just getting your dog used to it. There's a difference between a dog who doesn't like a crate or isn't used to a crate and separation anxiety. Separation anxiety is a totally different ball wax, and we're not really talking about separation anxiety today. But the differences between separation anxiety is typically that the dog will drool profusely when they're in the crate. They usually always soil the crate. They'll hurt themselves to get out of the crate. Those are all signs of separation anxiety. And separation anxiety will also happen when they're outside of the crate. So they'll go through, I know dogs that have gone through plate glass windows, they've gone through drywall, chewed through doors. So that's separation anxiety. So we're not talking about that. This is more of your dog may have never been in a crate before, so you just have to get them used to the concept. So, Susan, I hope that gives you some ideas to try, and please let me know if you have any luck with any of those things. And you also want to play with whether or not sometimes they prefer a covered crate versus a non-covered crate. If you're using a wire crate, which is open, so wire mesh all the way around, sometimes they prefer to have like a blanket or a sheet over the back of it. Just be careful. Don't do that when you're not home for the first time, because you don't want to find out that your dog's going to pull it into the crate and chew it up or ingest it or destroy it when you're not home. So try it out when you are home to see if that makes them feel better or not. That's another thing that you could try. So that was our question for this week, and I tried to do a 2-part answer. The other thing I want to mention is next week is the 4th of July. If you didn't watch last week's video where we talked about fireworks and how to keep your dog safe, please go back and watch that one. Just as a quick recap, you want to make sure that your dog is in the house. Do not let them out on the 4th of July unless you have them on leash with you with a secure collar and it's a quick potty and then back in the house. Keep your windows closed. If you have to open a screen window, use the top half of the window for the screen, not the bottom half that your dog can get to. Keep the doors closed. You want to just make sure that you're not giving them any escape route in case they are afraid of the fireworks and the loud booms, so that it will keep them from bolting or running away. It's the #1 day of the year that dogs escape and run away is 4th of July. So you have to be very careful and don't take it for granted. And obviously if your dog is nervous about it, it's best for you to stay home with them. Just stay home so that your dog feels better and then you can keep a closer eye on them. There's always, when the dog's better, or when you have another dog that isn't afraid, then you can go and enjoy the fireworks. But it's your job to be their advocate and help to keep them safe and help them feel safe. So if you have to miss a little bit of fireworks, then it's not such a bad thing. It's a pretty good trade-off, I guess you should say. The love of your dog for missing some fireworks isn't so bad. So please be careful for the 4th of July. And I will talk to everybody next week on Thursday, and hopefully Facebook will have helped me fix my issues by then, okay? Have a great night, everybody. Have a good 4th of July.